There, in the name of the Most High, how is everybody doing on this fabulous day, this fantastic day in which the Lord has made? Another day to serve the Most High, another day to study His law, statutes, and commands, another day to do everything in which we can possibly do to praise Him and hopefully bring other believers to Him in the name of Yeshua. Boy, it's been a busy. This week has went by so fast. It is just so entirely crazy. But that's the Most High working. We're in the end times. The Most High did say He's gonna have to cut time short, because if He doesn't cut time short, then there wouldn't be a single soul left. That's the nature of this thing that's going on, people. And it's getting ready to get real deep, real fast. Look at all the different distractions that are out there right now at this current time. It is just unlimited distractions. They got the whole world tuning in to a Pooh Shiesty and a Gucci Mane and who's snitching and who's wrong and right. If you're not living for God, you wrong. That's the entire truth behind the matter. But we sitting up here, we're focusing on a Pooh Shiesty and a Gucci Mane, and this is how much they've reduced us down to just microbiological idiots. That we'll put all our care and concern into some fraudulent street code of ethics, and then try to hold individuals accountable according to that same line of absurdity. We'll put all our cares, give it the entirety of our heart and minds, but then there's a Most High God out here who, trying to get you to come back to Him so that you can have eternal life and not have to be in pain, not have to deal with any level of suffering or anything along those lines. But the whole entire world, they care about Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane and a fraudulent level of street credibility. We've allowed the powers to be to reduce us down to that instead of what really truly matters. We got to be careful of these distractions, people. They call it distractions for a reason. They pumping this stuff on every single news outlet. Pooh Shiesty, Gucci Mane, and then all the content creators. They jump into they help doing the job of the elite as well, pumping this story. When we need to be, how y'all doing? We need to be pumping the information about Christ, because this war and everything going on, this is biblical. This is prophetic. This ain't nothing to play games with. But they done reduced us down to, extenuating the full might of our heart and minds towards Gucci Mane's street credibility, getting robbed, and Pooh Shiesty and all this nonsense that's just nonsense. Like, who cares? These people, they all worship Satan at the end of the day. I don't care how you frame it. They're not up here trying to bring souls to Christ. They're not up here, trying to live for the Most High. You living in sin. Listen to the lyrics. All you gotta do is just listen to the lyrics. Rap has changed so much. It has changed so much. It's not even the same. Like, remember the message of the early rappers, from the early 90s, mid 90s. The messages are just so completely different now. And and it was orchestrated. You don't want nobody being consciously aware of anything. They want to reduce everyone down to poo shiesty and caring about Gucci's man's street credibility, which is a bunch of hogwash anyway. We got to stop allowing ourselves to be reduced down to such a low level of thinking. It don't make no sense. When this war and everything else going on out here, people dying, and then they playing in our faces, giving money to all these so-called righteous causes, and then there's people in the American in the American backyard, just being swallowed wholesale. Food prices just outrageously high, gas continuously soaring through the roof. But they got us worrying about a poo shiesty and a Gucci man, and who's street, who's real. It's all a bunch of just nonsense, and it's completely laughable at the end of the day. How you doing, Leo? So we got to do better. We got to focus on Christ, because if we're not focused on that, I'm trying to tell you right here and now, we're going to be led straight to our demise. And then they got this AI going on now, which is directly attached to a demonic spirit. See, that's the part of it they don't want to go into. And this ain't my mere assessment. This is the truth. This is the real on the matter. It is directly attached to a demonic spirit. So it's getting ready to get atrociously ugly out here. All while they've got people worrying about shiesty. I mean, listen to his name, shiesty. I mean, if that isn't self-explanatory into itself, I mean, I don't know what is. I mean, sometimes you just gotta look a little bit into matters at hand. But I don't really care I don't care about anything about none of that situation. It's not giving glorification to Christ. It's not even teaching us how to navigate through the times that we're in and coming into, and the severity thereof. Like this is so astonishingly crazy to me. How they can just, at every beck and turn, they can show us how minimized that the human mind has become, especially when it comes to social issues and real justice. They just make a complete mockery out of us, and it's crazy. But yeah, it's crazy. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's blessed today. And no, I'm not no Snoop Dogg either. That's what you're saying. But yeah, but back to the focal point at hand. It's getting ready to get real dark out here. It's getting ready to get real wicked. I mean, wickedness on a scale that we've never seen. I mean, after the 2020 fiasco, look what we're dealing with in the world. People are just acting belligerently crazy. And it's always under the guise of mental health. Well, this mental health narrative coincides with the attachment of a demonic spirit. And, through the nanotech, through those quote unquote vaccines that were distributed, when you look up COVID-19 spelled like that, it says possession by an evil spirit. So that's crazy to think about. So they're injecting a demonic entity. That's how advanced they have become in their sciences. Science can be utilized for good. Don't get it wrong. But Satan and his millions of evildoers, his hierarchy of demonic guineas, they brought this technology from the heavens with them. It's nothing new under the sun. At this juncture, now they're just getting back to the point at which they was Tower of Babel and pre-flood. So it is getting ready to get. Oh, I didn't even see that. So it's getting ready to get real ugly out here. It's getting ready to get real ugly real quick. So what are we going to do? Are we going to continue living in ignorance? Or are we going to turn to Christ? That's the number one question with everything going on. Are we going to sit here and continue to be mesmerized by a Pooh Shiesty and a Gucci Mane and another illustration of how our people destroy each other every time you turn around? You know, these are the images, these are the actions that they be trying to pump directly and indirectly into the mainstream media narrative. You know, we got to do better. We got to stop doing their job. Like, why are we so adamant about doing the job for the enemy? That way, the enemy, they'll just sit back, legs crossed, sipping a little beverage, talking about what a magnificent job that they've done, causing havoc and chaos all throughout the earth. They got a faction of individuals swearing up and down that God doesn't exist. Then they got a whole host and a whole list of different ideological views in regards to God and Satan and all this stuff. Illusions within illusions, and pacts, secret pacts and secret oaths. All this nonsense. All these different levels of distraction. Stay on code with the Most High. Stay on course with Christ as the main focal point. Trust you, me. You're gonna be better than all right. You'll be completely, fully navigated through the times to come. You know. You know what I mean? Because deception is getting ready to be at an all-time high. How's everybody doing out there? But yeah, deception is getting ready to be on an all-time high. We got to be ready. Can't be abrupt and falling for nonsense. For real. And you see a news story like that pumped on every outlet, and the manner in which they're pumping it, there's a distraction in place. They're trying to divert your attention away from one area and onto a boatload of sheer nonsense. We got to be smarter than that. We are smarter than that, but we need to start acting like it. You know, I can imagine these evildoers in their little lofts and mansions and bunkers and everything else that they've got that they can afford, all while the majority of the world is suffering out here immensely when the Lord gave us everything freely. And then you got these people who think that they've done placed themselves in a position of superiority and guard over the resources. So, you know, these people be in their little dwellings laughing at the chaos that they've done for their master Satan, you know? And we need to be laughed at, because if we're sitting up here being this idiotic, there's got to be a wake-up call somewhere in the ball game. Has to be. I hope so anyway. So, you know. But the message is not going to stop. Christ will be glorified at all costs. He is the only way, the truth, and the life. No matter what anybody feels about it, it's not up for debate. It is what it is at the end of the day. And I mean, especially for these individuals who swear up and down God doesn't exist, when these celebrities, because you know, evil is always going to be around the rich and the wealthy and the powerful. Why wouldn't they be? Satan and the forces of darkness, they covet worship. So why wouldn't they be in positions and in places where they're worshipped and where there's money and riches at? So these celebrities, they be around a lot of demonic activity, but when they break their psychosis, when they break their demonic possession, when they break the constraints that have been placed on them by the industry, now the industry want to come forward and have you thinking that these people are negative when they're really truly positive. Start looking into all the old musicians and things and the mysterious circumstances surrounding their deaths. You know, like it's crazy. So what I'm saying is these people, they'll do anything they can to try to present people in a negative light once they are changing the tune of their message or their outlook or approach to life, especially in the realm of Christ. Then all the tactics begin. Then the full tactic and strategic measures of the enemy are always implemented almost immediately. So we need to remember that too. Like, this is a war for real. And it's been a war since day one. Since there was a war in heaven between Satan and Michael and the angels. Satan took a whole third of the angels with him from the heavens. That's a lot of angels to deal with. It's a lot of angels down here, a lot of fallen angels. And a lot of demons, you know, because they're the children of the Nephilim, the disembodied spirits thereof. They was never supposed to have been alive. God never intended for them to live. So he made earth their dwelling upon their death. That's where you get the so-called quote-unquote ghost stories and hauntings and, you know, things along those lines. That's what all that is. So we need to remember that and keep it to Christ at all times, every time. There's no other way. But I'll be back here in a short second. I'll go to the grocery store for a second, get some items that I need. I'll be right back.